As we grow older, something unexpected happens. The world around us slows down. Conversations become fewer, and daily life grows quieter. Yet inside, the mind becomes louder than ever. Thoughts multiply, worries deepen, memories replay themselves without asking for permission. It's strange. The body slows, but the mind races. We think more about the past, about choices we made, and moments we wish we could change. We worry more about the future, our health, our loved ones, the uncertainty of tomorrow. And we carry more inside our hearts. The weight of years, the lessons of life, the silence that comes with age. Many people believe overthinking is a sign of weakness or decline, but it isn't. It is simply the mind searching for peace in all the wrong places. Buddhist wisdom teaches something gentle and comforting. Peace does not fade with age. In fact, it becomes easier to touch when we learn where to look. The stillness we seek isn't somewhere far away. It's already within us, waiting beneath the noise of our thoughts. And in this journey, you will discover simple, compassionate ways to quiet the mind, soften your worries, and return to the calm that has always belonged to you. Lesson 1. Understand what overthinking really is. Overthinking is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is not a weakness, and it is not a failure of the mind. In reality, overthinking is simply the mind trying to protect you. It worries because it cares. It circles the same thoughts because it wants to keep you safe from regret, from uncertainty, from anything that might hurt you again. But like a child that loves too deeply, the mind sometimes protects in the wrong way. Instead of offering clarity, it creates noise. Instead of giving answers, it gives endless questions. And the more we push against these thoughts, the louder they become. In Buddhist wisdom, thoughts are not seen as enemies. They are seen as visitors, temporary, passing, never meant to stay forever. A thought arrives, stays for a moment, and eventually leaves on its own. But the suffering begins when we start chasing them. When a thought appears, we follow it, analyze it, replay it, and try to control it. The mind becomes like a room with too many guests, each one demanding attention. But what if you didn't attend to every guest? What if you simply acknowledged their presence and let them pass? You don't need to stop your thoughts to find peace. That is a battle no one has ever won. What you can do is observe them calmly, the way you might watch clouds move across the open sky. You don't hold on to any single cloud, and you don't panic when a dark one appears. You just watch. And in the watching, something powerful happens. The clouds keep drifting, and the sky remains untouched. In the same way, when you become the observer of your thoughts instead of the participant, overthinking begins to loosen its grip. When you watch your thoughts instead of chasing them, they lose their power. They slow down. They soften. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them. And in that awareness, peace quietly returns. Lesson 2. Accept impermanence. Everything changes. One of the most comforting truths in Buddhism is also one of the simplest. Everything changes. Every worry, every emotion, every memory, every fear, none of them stay forever. They rise, they stay for a moment, and then they fade, just like the shifting seasons. But when we forget this truth, the mind begins to cling. Overthinking grows because we are holding on to moments that have already passed, replaying scenes that no longer exist, or fearing futures that have not yet arrived. The mind becomes tired, not because life is unkind, but because we are trying to freeze what was never meant to stay still. Many older people feel overwhelmed by how quickly life has moved. Children grow up, loved ones leave, the body changes, the world changes. And the mind tries to make sense of all these changes by thinking, analyzing, remembering, worrying. But overthinking is often not about the thought itself. It is about the resistance to change. When we wish the past were different or the future more certain, the mind tightens. It tries to hold life in place, even though life is always moving. This is why the simple phrase, "this will pass," can soften the entire mind. It reminds us that no matter how heavy a thought feels right now, it is not permanent. It will shift, lighten, release, or dissolve in its own time. The same way a storm breaks into calm skies, your thoughts too have a natural cycle. When you gently remind yourself that everything is temporary, the mind begins to relax. It no longer needs to grip so tightly. Imagine the leaves in autumn, how they fall effortlessly from the branches. The tree does not cling to them. It doesn't fight their departure. It lets them go with grace, trusting that new life will come again in spring. Your thoughts are the same. When you let them fall away naturally, without forcing, without resisting, your mind becomes lighter. Overthinking fades, not because you stop thinking, but because you stop gripping every thought as if it were permanent. Impermanence is not a sad truth, it is a liberating one. It means you are never trapped in a moment, never stuck in a feeling, never bound by a memory. Everything moves, everything changes. And when you learn to move with life instead of against it, the mind finds a peace that no amount of thinking could ever create. Lesson 3. Come back to the present moment. Overthinking almost always happens when the mind leaves the present. It either wanders backward into memories, regrets, and old stories, or races forward into worries, fears, and imagined possibilities. The mind becomes restless because it is trying to live in places it cannot touch. The past is gone, the future hasn't arrived. Yet the mind keeps running between both, searching for peace in places where peace does not exist. This is why Buddhist wisdom teaches a simple truth. The mind becomes calm when it returns to where life is actually happening. The present moment. The present is not complicated. It is not something you have to earn or reach. It is always here, waiting for your attention. One breath is enough to return you home. When you feel your breath enter your body, slowly and gently, you remind your mind, "I am here." When you feel your breath leave, soft and steady, you tell your mind, "I am safe." These simple moments of awareness interrupt the endless spinning of thoughts. They bring you back into what is real, what is alive, what is happening now. Mindfulness does not require special training, long meditations, or perfect silence. It can be practiced in the simplest ways. When you walk, notice the rhythm of your steps. Heel, toe, heel, toe. Let your feet bring you back into your body. When you drink tea, feel the warmth in your hands. When you listen to the rain, do nothing except listen. These small acts of presence anchor the mind gently, the way a string keeps a balloon from drifting away. The mind may still wander, but now it always has a place to return to. Many older people experience overthinking because life has slowed down on the outside, but not on the inside. The days become quieter, but the mind becomes louder. Simple mindfulness gives the mind a place to rest. It offers a moment of stillness in the middle of the storm. When you say to yourself, "Here, right now, I am safe," you remind your mind that it doesn't have to protect you from the past or predict the future. It only has to be with you in this moment. The present moment is the mind's true home. It is where peace lives, where clarity appears, where the heart softens. You don't need to escape your thoughts. You only need to step out of their shadows by returning to now. And each time you come back, the mind learns to trust the present a little more, and the noise of overthinking begins to fade, replaced by a gentle and steady calm. Lesson 4. Speak kindly to yourself. As people grow older, the world often expects them to be wiser, calmer, stronger. But inside, many carry a lifetime of unspoken regrets and self-criticism. They replay choices they made decades ago. They question whether they were good enough, patient enough, loving enough. And each time these thoughts arise, the mind speaks harshly, as if punishing itself for not living perfectly. But Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us, self-criticism does not heal the past. It only hurts the present. Overthinking becomes heavier when the inner voice becomes sharp. It says things like, "I should have done more," or "I should have known better." But these words only reopen old wounds. What the mind actually needs is kindness, not correction. Every life, no matter how imperfect, was lived with the knowledge and strength available at the time. You did what you could with what you knew, and that has always been enough. This is why replacing harsh inner talk with gentle phrases is not weakness, it is wisdom. When a painful memory rises, whisper softly, "I did the best I could." When the mind demands answers you don't have, tell yourself, "It's okay to not have all the answers." These simple sentences act like warm hands on a trembling heart. They steady you, they soften you, they calm the storms inside. Speaking kindly to yourself is not pretending everything was perfect. It is acknowledging that you are human, and humans learn slowly, stumble often, and grow at their own pace. When your inner voice becomes gentle, the mind begins to relax. Overthinking loses its sharp edges. Thoughts that once felt heavy now lie lightly, the way a feather settles on the ground. Imagine speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love deeply. You wouldn't shame them. You wouldn't judge them for their mistakes. You would comfort them, encourage them, hold them through their fears. Your mind needs that same compassion. It has carried your entire life inside it. Every joy, every loss, every lesson. It deserves tenderness, not punishment. Self-compassion reduces overthinking more than any technique. Because once the heart feels safe, the mind no longer needs to shout. The moment you choose a kinder inner voice, your thoughts soften, your breath deepens, and a gentle peace begins to grow within you. A peace that was always waiting for your permission to return. Lesson 5. Let go of what no longer serves you. There comes a moment in every life, especially in our later years, when we realize that we are carrying far more in our hearts than we should. Old stories that still sting, mistakes we still replay, fears that have followed us like shadows. Overthinking feeds on these things. It takes the past and loops it endlessly. It takes the worst possibilities of the future and holds them like heavy stones in the mind. And without noticing, we begin to drag years of emotional weight behind us. But Buddhist wisdom offers a different path, a path that does not force you to forget, deny, or erase any part of your history. Instead, it invites you to loosen your grip. Letting go isn't about pretending something didn't happen. It's not about ignoring the pain or erasing the memory. Letting go simply means choosing not to hold the memory so tightly that it continues to hurt you. Most people misunderstand letting go. They think it requires strength or discipline, but true letting go feels more like softening, like releasing your clenched fist after holding it tight for too long. The moment you relax, relief flows in naturally. The same happens with your thoughts. When you unclench your mind from a story or fear, peace immediately finds space to enter. When an old memory rises, one that brings guilt or sadness, try whispering gently, "I release this thought with love." Not anger, not resistance, love. Because every thought you're releasing is connected to a younger version of yourself, a version that was learning, a version that was hurting, a version that was doing the best it could. You are not throwing the memory away. You are freeing both yourself and that younger self from the need to relive it endlessly. Letting go is also an act of courage. It means accepting that you cannot rewrite the past and you cannot control the future. It means trusting that life will unfold in its own rhythm, without your mind gripping everything that frightens you. Overthinking is a form of control. If we think enough, we believe we can prevent pain. But in reality, overthinking only prevents peace. Imagine holding a heavy bag in your hands. At first, you think you can manage it. But after minutes, hours, years, the weight becomes unbearable. Letting go is simply putting the bag down. Nothing dramatic, nothing forceful. Just the quiet recognition that you no longer need to carry what exhausts your heart. And here is the beautiful truth. When you stop carrying what is too heavy, you don't become weaker, you become lighter. You feel spacious again. Your mind breathes, your heart opens. Life begins to feel gentle instead of overwhelming. Letting go is not a single moment but a daily practice. A soft release, a breath, a choice to untangle yourself from stories that no longer define you. And with each release, overthinking loosens its hold. Your steps become lighter, your days feel quieter, and slowly, you rediscover a version of yourself that can finally rest. Lesson 6. Find stillness in simple moments. There is a kind of stillness that people search for their entire lives. Some believe it lives in distant mountains or in long, silent retreats. Others think it belongs only to monks who spend years in meditation. But Buddhism teaches something far simpler and far more comforting. Stillness is not a place you travel to. It is a moment you allow. And the beauty is, you can experience that moment anytime, anywhere. You do not need long meditations to feel calm. You do not need special training, or hours of silence, or perfect discipline. All you need is a single moment where you choose to pause and gently return to yourself. Stillness can be found in the smallest, quietest corners of your day. When you watch the sunrise, notice how the light appears gradually, without rushing, without striving. The sun does not force its way into the sky. It simply rises. In that slow, gentle unfolding, your mind feels something familiar. A calm that does not demand anything from you. A peace that asks only for your presence. Stillness also lives in the warmth of a cup of tea between your hands. You feel the heat. You hold the cup. For just a few seconds, nothing else exists. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Not the thoughts swirling in your mind. Only warmth. Only presence. Only now. These small moments are not insignificant. They are doorways, openings where your mind can rest without effort. Even sitting quietly for 1 minute can create a shift. Not trying to empty your mind, not trying to solve anything. Simply sitting. Simply breathing. Simply being. In a world that constantly demands movement, stillness becomes an act of deep courage. It is a gentle reminder that you are allowed to stop. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to exist without performing, thinking, or fixing. When the body becomes still, the mind naturally begins to settle. It does not happen instantly, and it does not need to. Thoughts may continue to float through you, but their intensity softens. The noise quiets. The heart slows. Clarity appears without force. Like water becoming clear when it stops being stirred. Most people try to calm their mind by thinking their way to peace. But peace is not created by effort. It arises when effort drops away. It comes when you give yourself permission to pause, even for a single breath. In stillness, you begin to see your life differently. You realize that many of the worries that once felt enormous no longer feel as heavy. You notice the beauty in simple things. the light in the room, the sound of birds, the feeling of your chest rising and falling. You see that life has always been offering you moments of peace. You were just too busy thinking to notice. Stillness is not absence. It is presence. It is the moment your mind finally returns home to you. And the more often you allow these simple pauses, the more your overthinking dissolves. Not because you forced it to, but because you gave peace the space to enter. Bonus lesson: make peace with yourself. Overthinking is not always caused by fear or worry. Often, it comes from something far deeper, the feeling of being unfinished inside. A part of you may still be carrying questions that were never answered, wounds that were never comforted, or versions of yourself that were never forgiven. And as the years pass, these unspoken feelings continue to rise in the mind, asking for attention in the only way they know how: through overthinking. But there comes a time in life when the greatest healing is not found in thinking more. It is found in accepting your own story. Every chapter, every mistake, every triumph, every loss, every moment you wish you could rewrite. You have lived a life full of learning, full of loving, full of trying. You have survived days you thought would break you. You have grown in ways you did not even notice at the time. And that story, your story, deserves to be honored, not judged. As you grow older, peace begins with acceptance. Not the cold acceptance of resignation, but the warm acceptance of understanding. You no longer need to look back and punish yourself for what you didn't know. You no longer need to hold old versions of yourself to standards they could not meet. The past is not a problem to solve. It is a teacher that has already taught you everything it needed to. Making peace with yourself does not erase your memories. It softens them. It allows you to look back without tightening your chest. It lets you say, "That was me then, and this is me now." You bless the past instead of battling it. And when the heart stops fighting itself, the mind naturally follows. A peaceful heart creates a peaceful mind. When you stop arguing with your own story, the mind no longer needs to replay it. When you stop judging your younger self, your thoughts no longer rise with guilt. When you finally say, "I am enough," the mind no longer feels the need to prove otherwise. Overthinking quiets down, not because you force it to, but because there is nothing left inside that needs defending. Peace comes when you stop trying to rewrite your life and instead learn to embrace it. Gently, honestly, lovingly. You have lived, you have learned, you have grown, and now you are allowed to rest in who you are, fully, peacefully, and without regret. As we come to the end of this gentle journey, take one slow breath and feel how even a single moment of awareness softens the mind. Notice the space that opens inside you when you pause. Notice how your worries loosen their grip, even just a little. You are not the weight of your thoughts, nor the stories your mind repeats. You are the calm awareness beneath them, steady, quiet, and untouched. As you move forward, may the rest of your days become lighter, quieter, and filled with the kind of peace that does not depend on anything outside you. Let your heart rest. Let your mind breathe. You have earned this softness. And if this brought you comfort, clarity, or a feeling of being gently understood, follow for more Buddhist wisdom spoken softly to your heart.